The snow fell so heavily that night it felt like the sky itself was trying to bury the world in silence. Wind howled across the empty bridge, sweeping icy crystals over the motionless figure of a wounded Navy SEAL slumped against the wooden railing. Blood stained the side of his face, slowly freezing against his skin. Beside him, his loyal German shepherd lay protectively across his legs, ears alert, eyes burning with desperate determination. In the distance, through the blinding white storm, a poor widow and her 2 children were running straight toward danger, unaware that the decision they were about to make would change all of their lives forever. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of ordinary people doing extraordinary things, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this remind us that even in the coldest moments, humanity can still burn bright. Martha had lost her husband 3 years earlier in a factory accident that left her alone with 2 small children and a mountain of debt. Every winter felt heavier than the last. That night, she had taken her children out to collect fallen firewood near the old bridge because their heater had broken again. Her daughter clutched her hand tightly, while her young son stumbled through the deep snow beside her. They were exhausted, hungry, and thinking only of getting home before the storm worsened. Then they saw him. At first, Martha thought it was just debris caught against the railing. But the dog moved. The German shepherd lifted its head and let out a low, warning growl, not aggressive but protective. As they stepped closer, the shape of a man in military camouflage became clear. His uniform was torn, his arm bleeding heavily, and his breathing shallow. His helmet lay in the snow beside him. The dog's eyes locked onto Martha's, pleading yet cautious. Martha's heart pounded. Helping him meant risk. They barely had enough food for themselves. Bringing home a wounded soldier and a police-trained K-9 could mean medical bills, questions from authorities, and danger if whoever hurt him was still nearby. But leaving him there meant certain death. The snow would not show mercy. She didn't hesitate for long. With shaking hands, Martha told her children to gather branches while she knelt beside the man. His skin was ice cold. She removed her scarf and pressed it firmly against the worst of the bleeding. The dog allowed her touch after a moment, sensing her intention. It stayed close, never leaving its partner's side. It took everything they had to get him home. Martha fashioned a makeshift sled from an old wooden pallet behind a storage shed near the bridge. Her son helped push while her daughter held onto the dog's collar. Step by painful step, they dragged the wounded Navy SEAL through the storm toward their small, crumbling house at the edge of town. Inside, the house was barely warmer than outside. Martha lit every candle they owned. She cleaned his wounds with boiled water and the last of their medical supplies. The dog never moved far, watching her every action carefully. The man drifted in and out of consciousness, his lips pale, his breathing uneven. On his sleeve was a name patch, Lieutenant Daniel Hayes. Hours passed. Martha stayed awake through the night, pressing cloth against his injuries, whispering silent prayers she wasn't sure she believed in anymore. Her children slept curled together on the couch, while the dog lay at her feet like a silent guardian. By morning, Daniel's fever had broken slightly. When he finally opened his eyes fully, confusion flashed across his face before settling into recognition of safety. He saw the small home, the exhausted widow, the flickering candlelight. He saw his dog, alive and unharmed. And for the first time since the ambush that had left him stranded, he allowed himself to breathe. Daniel had been on leave, traveling quietly to visit the family of a fallen teammate, when he was attacked by criminals who mistook him for someone else and tried to rob him near the bridge. He had fought back, but outnumbered and wounded, he collapsed in the storm. Without Martha, he would not have survived the night. Recovery was slow. Martha continued caring for him despite their growing financial strain. She fed him portions from her children's plates, pretending she wasn't hungry. She stitched his uniform. She never asked for anything in return. But Daniel noticed. Once he regained enough strength, he made a phone call that would shift the course of all their lives. Within days, military vehicles arrived quietly in their neighborhood. Not with sirens or spectacle, but with gratitude. Daniel's commanding officer learned of what Martha had done. A widow with nothing had saved one of their own. What happened next shocked everyone. The military covered Daniel's medical expenses and offered Martha compensation, but she tried to refuse. Daniel insisted. He arranged for her home to be repaired through a veterans community outreach program. The heater was replaced. The roof was fixed. Groceries filled the kitchen. But more than that, Daniel used his influence to secure Martha a stable job working in administrative support for a local veteran assistance office, recognizing her strength and compassion. Her children received educational support through a foundation connected to Daniel's unit. And the German Shepherd, once a silent protector in the snow, became a regular visitor, bounding into their yard with joyful energy whenever Daniel stopped by. Martha had saved a soldier. But in doing so, she unknowingly saved her own family from years of silent suffering. Before this story ends, take a moment to comment. Kindness wins, if you believe even the smallest act of courage can change a destiny. Years later, Daniel would often say that the bravest act he ever witnessed was not on a battlefield, but on a frozen bridge, when a poor widow with nothing chose compassion over fear. And if this story touched your heart even a little, please like, share, and subscribe so more people can be reminded that sometimes the greatest heroes don't wear uniforms, they carry firewood through the snow and refuse to walk away.